There are no citizens or foreigners, allies or enemies.
Spying on close friends and partners is totally unacceptable.
Law-abiders or criminals. There are only objects of surveillance.
Well, they're collecting everything they can collect, and that is everything.
Hello there, welcome back. The European Union is not yet ready to roll out the red carpet to non-member states to its east. A leaked draft resolution ahead of the Eastern Partnership Summit reveals as much. Now, it hints the introduction of a visa-free regime with Ukraine will be postponed to the likely disappointment of Kiev.
1 січня 2015 року всі українці мають право безвізового подорожування країнами Європейського Союзу.
We are ready for reform, we are ready for Europe, we are ready for peace.
But it seems the bloc is not ready for Ukraine, judging by the signals coming from the European leaders.
They have the right to have a dream, also the European dream. I mean, maybe not membership in predictable future.
The Europeans are naturally wary because there are some issues in Ukraine that we don't have. Organised crime threatens our security. The same is true about migration.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's top security official has said that his country is open to having a NATO missile defence system on its territory. However, it turns out Washington is not aware of the idea.
For a plan to place U.S. or NATO ballistic missile defence systems in Ukraine, I don't think we're exactly sure what they're referring to.
While the former Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko, who also used to promote closer ties between Ukraine and the West, now says that the world is tired of the country's problems and is swatting Kiev away like a fly. Alexander Makura's international affairs editor for Russia Insider says Kiev should drop its expectations of EU membership.
Being realistic, they would probably realise that this isn't actually going very far in terms of EU membership, and they should be focusing on perhaps the more achievable things. Unfortunately, there are still some people in Kiev who have expectations that they will get things like visa-free access and other things like that, which are simply not on the table. We've had a major crisis in the Ukraine. We've had a war there. And of course, economically, Ukraine has imploded in ways that I don't think anybody in the EU anticipated. Only the other day, Ukraine announced that it was passing a bill on a moratorium on paying its debts, which is a sign of impending default and a sign of how bad the situation there has become.
Swiss Railways has turned back the clocks in an effort to keep the grass along their tracks in check. They've employed a rare breed of sheep as trimmers. Well, the company says it decided to use the sheep as not all areas can easily be accessed by conventional grass cutters. And because the animals are selective about what they eat, they help protect many meadow plants as well. Well, those concerned with the sheep's safety needn't worry, as there's an electric fence blocking access to the tracks. Well, the woolly trimmers have proven a hit online too, after the pictures posted by the railway operator on social media attracted hundreds of hits. But for those who want to see the sheep for real, there's a map on the Swiss Railways website showing exactly where the animals are doing their grazing. Well, there are more animals putting their skills to good use on our website, including a crane that's put a pair of tigers to shame. A bit of bad luck, though, saw a bird land in the tiger's enclosure at a Chinese zoo, but it still managed to hold its own and send the big cats running for cover. We've got that video online for you. Also online as well, star power. Solar panels are now apparently good enough to generate the world's entire electricity supply. But scientists, they say the only thing that's casting a shadow is a lack of money.
Right from the scene. First-rate news and eye-gripping pictures. our reporters' Twitter and Instagram. To be in the know, follow us online.
Hello there, welcome back. When Libya crumbled in the Arab Spring in 2011, Western nations leapt to intervene. Now, a series of emails written to Hillary Clinton by an advisor reveal that there could have been more behind their moves. RT's In the Now takes a closer look.
They reveal how the UK and France were struggling to get a larger piece of the Libyan cake. Britain is using intelligence to dictate the actions of both the Libyan rebels and the Gaddafi regime, one email said. Diplomats maintain contact with Gaddafi's son Saif in case he took over power from his father. Well, the UK also teamed up with France, according to another email, in order to establish a semi-autonomous zone in the east, basically encouraging the country's split following Gaddafi's fall. The reason? The brand new Libyan government failed to appropriately reward French firms with contracts. Joining me in the Now is Catherine Chakda, Middle East consultant and associate for the Beirut Center. Thanks for being with us. Clearly, both France and the UK had and continue to have their geopolitical interests in Libya, didn't they?
Yes, of course. And I mean, it's not surprising, actually, because if you look back into 2011, I mean, France and the UK were quite quick to jump to the gun when it came to Libya and intervene militarily. So you have to go back there and kind of wonder why they were so eager to go and intervene in Libya. And I think you got the answer right there.
These emails revealed that the U.S. knew what was going on. They knew what the goals of their coalition partners were. So how much accountability lies with the U.S. and the State Department here?
I think that the US were looking at the time to form a consensus and have a coalition on their side. So, of course, they had to kind of, plug in, what their allies wanted to see achieved. And, of course, it's not necessarily in alignment with their own agenda. So they had to allow France and the UK, in this case, to have some leeway and some freedom of movement. But I think to say that they did not know, is very unlikely. And, of course, they did know, and they were trying to manage that, those desires and to try to have them, to reel them in within their own agenda.
Other news from around the world then. An angry crowds gathered outside a water bottling plant in Los Angeles operated by the Swiss food giant Nestlé.
Stop stealing our water! Stop stealing our water!
They accuse the company of exploiting supplies for profit at a time when California is enduring a severe drought. A similar rally took place outside another Nestlé plant in the States. Activists also gathered 500,000 signatures to petition Nestlé to stop bottling water there. Households are under intense restrictions right now, and nearly 2 million people are thought to have no access to clean water. Well, this is the moment an apartment block in China collapsed, and it was caught on camera. The 9-story building came crashing down after heavy rain caused a landslide. 3 people have been confirmed dead and several are missing. Most of the residents, though, were moved to safety. Well, this is Uruguay, where thousands turned out for what was called a March of Silence. Part of it, it's to remember the people who disappeared during the country's military rule that lasted until 1985. Many carried portraits of the missing. The demonstration took place shortly after the president set up a special group to investigate human rights violations in the past. Being a spy may be portrayed as a glamorous job in the movies and novels, but for some real-life intelligence agents who've worked for the world's strongest militaries, one of the world's strongest militaries, the reality couldn't be more different. RT's Paula Sleer, she's been to meet them.
The Israeli Defense Forces. Positioning itself as one of the most capable armies in the world, the IDF relies heavily on intelligence. And while it calls itself the Army of the Jewish People, it has many Palestinians in its ranks, such as Mohammed Saad. He was a Palestinian informant for the IDF from 1984, a reputation that brought him infamy in the West Bank.
In 1994, during the Gaza-Jericho agreement, I was abducted by members of the Fatah movement. They took me from the intelligence head office to their secret place in Darurat. From the minute that they arrested me, it took them 2 days until they notified my family I was in their hands.
Blacklisted in Palestine, Mohammed is now forced to live in Israel. But despite spying for the country, Tel Aviv refuses to grant him citizenship or acknowledge his right to residency. With no pension or monetary benefits from the government, Mohammed is forced to make a living on what little savings he has and the generosity of friends.
I expected Israel to give me an identity card and residency, the rights I deserve, the rights all in Israeli intelligence deserve, but it didn't happen.
Amen al-Hajj was an Islamic cleric and spiritual advisor to the leader of Lebanon's Liberal Party. With his positive view of Israel, Amen soon made it onto the Mossad recruitment list, and a successful career in intelligence gathering ensued. But things ended badly.
I had a close relationship with the person that recruited me, but in the end I didn't even get an Israeli ID. They didn't give me anything. I didn't take anything. I paid for everything out of my own pocket.
Those who caught spying for Israel faced the death penalty back home. But those like Saad and El-Jaj, who now live in the relative safety of Israel, are left questioning whether the price they paid was in the end worth it. The life of an informant is not without challenges. Going against their own people and serving a foreign occupying power, they often find themselves caught in between wars, nations and cultures. Paul Islia, RT, West Bank.
Up next, Max and Stacey discuss why the economy will never return to normal.